I, 28, have been best friends with Sarah, 27, since we were kids. We shared everything, from our first crushes to our deepest secrets. I thought our bond was unbreakable, but that all changed when I discovered she had been lying to me for years. It all started when Sarah got a job at a prestigious PR firm in the city. She was always ambitious and determined to climb the corporate ladder, so I wasn't surprised when she landed the position. However, as time went on, I began to notice inconsistencies in her stories about work. She would brag about closing big deals and attending high-profile events, but something just didn't add up. One day, I happened to run into a colleague of Sarah's at a party. When I mentioned her name, he looked confused and told me he had never heard of her before. I was shocked. How could Sarah have been lying to me about something so significant? I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, so I decided to do some digging. I started by asking Sarah subtle questions about her job, trying to catch her in a lie. She always had an explanation ready, but they were becoming more and more far-fetched. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted her and demanded the truth. At first, Sarah tried to deny everything, but as I presented her with the evidence I had gathered, she broke down and confessed. It turned out that she had never actually worked at the PR firm. Instead, she had been fabricating stories about her job to impress me and others. I was devastated. How could my best friend lie to me for so long? But the lies didn't stop there. Sarah revealed that she had also been lying about her personal life. She claimed to be in a serious relationship with a wealthy businessman and living in a luxurious penthouse apartment. In reality, she was struggling to make ends meet and living in a rundown studio apartment in a sketchy part of town. I was heartbroken and angry. How could Sarah betray my trust like this? I felt like I didn't even know her anymore. But the worst was yet to come. When I confronted her about the extent of her lies, Sarah begged me not to tell anyone, especially her family. She was afraid of losing everything she had built up. But I couldn't let her deception continue. I knew that the longer she kept up the charade, the more damage it would do. So, against her wishes, I decided to expose her lies to our friend group and her family. I couldn't stand by and watch her dig herself deeper into a hole of deceit. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Our friends were shocked and appalled by Sarah's lies, and her family was devastated. Her parents had believed she was a successful businesswoman living a glamorous life, only to discover the harsh truth. Sarah was ostracized by everyone she cared about, including me. Update: the aftermath of my betrayal was even worse than I could have imagined. Sarah lost her job, her friends, and her family's trust. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her lies. But despite everything that had happened, she still refused to take responsibility for her actions. She blamed me for ruining her life and cutting her off from everyone she cared about. As I watched Sarah spiral out of control, I couldn't help but feel guilty. Had I gone too far in exposing her lies? Should I have kept her secrets and protected her from the truth? Am I the asshole for destroying my best friend's world? The days and weeks that followed the fallout from exposing Sarah's lies were filled with tension and animosity. Sarah refused to speak to me, choosing instead to wallow in self-pity and resentment. I tried to reach out, to apologize for what I had done, but she shut me out completely. Our friend group was divided, with some condemning me for destroying Sarah's life, while others applauded me for finally bringing her deceit to light. I found myself isolated and alone, caught in the middle of a storm of anger and betrayal. Sarah's family struggled to come to terms with the fact that their daughter had been living a lie. Her parents were heartbroken, feeling as though they had failed to see the truth beneath the facade Sarah had created. The rift between Sarah and her family widened, leaving wounds that may never fully heal. Despite the chaos and devastation I had caused, I couldn't bring myself to regret my decision to expose Sarah's lies. The deception had gone on for far too long, poisoning our relationship and eroding the trust that had once held us together. I couldn't continue to enable her falsehoods, no matter the cost. As time passed, the wounds began to heal, but the scars remained. Sarah moved away, seeking to start fresh in a new city where no one knew her past. Our friendship was irreparably damaged, leaving both of us bitter and resentful. The betrayal still stung, echoing through the shattered remnants of what had once been a strong bond. In the end, the fallout from exposing my best friend's lies left a trail of destruction in its wake. The truth may have set her free, but it also cost her everything she held dear. And while I may never be able to fully mend the rift between us, I know that sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that bring about the most profound changes. As the dust settled and the wounds began to heal. All that remained was the bitter taste of regret and resentment, leaving both sides hating each other more than ever before.